Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we have an awesome animator called Alessandro CAMPOROTA. He's going to be speaking about a lot of different topics, about how he started working at Ubisoft, his life in Singapore, the longest shot he's animated, his 5 favorite films, how he approaches an action shot, so all about how he blocks it, how he animates the cameras. It's super interesting. I hope you enjoy it as much as me. If you like this topic, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, that really helps me. Don't forget we have a new Discord channel where you can chat with me and everybody in the Worldspace community. I will leave you a link in the description down below. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. My name is Ilse Zamarripa and this is the Worldspace. It's 7 a.m. right now for me, and for Alessandro it's 9 p.m. and we had some technical issues and it was super complicated to connect, but now we are connected. And he is right now a lead at Ubisoft in Singapore. How has that experience been like?
The experience overall is great. I mean, the way I got there is because after I had my experience in Canada, I was working for a feature film for a year and a half in Canada.
Yeah.
And it was intense, was a good experience as well, but I decided I needed a break. And I want to have some time off to spend again with my family and friends. I see you laughing, so you can already imagine how hard it is. So I wanted to have a little bit of a break, and after a little bit of consideration, I wanted to go back in games because games always been my main passion. I was looking for something stable. I was looking something in Singapore because I've been in Singapore before already and I love it as a country. So I did a little bit of research. I knew Ubisoft was looking for a lead animator. Just sent my CV, had a few interviews with them. We enjoy each other, let's say. We find a mutual agreement. And then I joined on, Valhalla, the Assassin's Creed that recently came out. And it was very interesting, fun experience. I mean, here my role is more of a supervisor rather than a lead animator. So I more supervise the animation team. Actually different animation team, not just in Singapore. We had a few animators in the Philippines, one in Chengdu in China. So it was quite new for me, it was my first time managing so many people from different countries. So definitely a new challenge. And I would say I learned a lot of different skill that I never thought before, because usually as animator, you just focus on your own shot, right? They give you a shot, they give you something to do. And it's more narrow-minded in a way, right? You only have one single thing you have to focus. You put all your energy there. But here it's more like focusing on the big picture,
Sure.
Just make sure everybody is it's aligned all together. It's also not so easy when there are so many people from different countries, make sure everybody's communicating together. Also because we were working exactly on the same feature.
Sure.
On Assassin's Creed, we have this long boat, where basically there are 12 characters on it, and some of the characters were animated from different animators from different countries. So anytime there was, an animation that involved all 12 characters all together, was also a challenge to coordinate all the animators and make sure everybody was doing the same things. So we had some ups and downs, but it was fun. I would say it's a different experience, compared to all the other one.
Yeah.
In a different way, in a good way, I would say. So it's something I was very proud. And once you see the final result, see how people are excited about the game and are happy, it's definitely a great feeling.
And how is Singapore in general? How is it like to live there? I know it's super expensive.
There are expensive things. Okay, for example, if you want to own a car, it's way out of budget. It's very, very expensive, but on the other side, you have great options. For example, you have transportation, the public transportation, like subway, taxi and everything. Those are very cheap. So that's the great things. Yes, if you are rich, you have a lot of money, you can have your own car and everything. But if you cannot afford, you have great option and they work really well. Like the public transportation is fantastic. I would say it's one of the best in the world, and it's super cheap. A lot cheaper than most of the other country. Food as well. If you want, you can go to a very expensive restaurant, but if you want, you can go to a food court or $5 you can have a meal.
Okay.
So you can still have a cheaper option that it's a lot cheaper than most of other country. So rent as well. If you wanna be in a luxurious condo with swimming pool and everything, yes, it's gonna be expensive. If you want, there are other options that are less fancy. So It is expensive, but if you want to save some money like me, there is some option as well.
What are your top 5 movies, like your favorite 5 films of all times?
Okay, most of them, if you're talking about animation, I would tell you Ghost in the Shell, Akira were one of my first inspiration, because when I watched them, I was quite young. I think I was 12 or 13 years old when I watched them. And it was so different from the classic Disney, very cartoony style and childish, like they were more gore and more adult. I would say that really hooked me up, because back then I could never imagine that animation could tell those more mature story. Mm-hmm. So that one was an eye-opener, that kind of medium and art could tell a story that is a lot more mature. Before I used to watch only cartoon from Disney or Donald Duck and stuff like that. So when I watched those for the first time, it was an eye-opener.
Akira is a game changer for a lot of us in general. I think it really changes your perspective on what can be done in animation, right? And I think that kind of gave you a particular style. Like, you are very good with cameras. How do you approach an action shot?
Usually I do a lot of thumbnail. I think he helped me a little bit. I have a bit of background in comic and 2D animation. I never worked professionally in those fields, but basically I waste my childhood trying to get into those fields. Instead of studying at school, I was constantly drawing comics instead of listening at the teacher. Once I finished high school, I tried to do a 2D animation school. It didn't go very well, but at least it gave me a bit of foundation. And anytime I have to approach those kind of shots that are very complicated, I think about it mostly like as a storyboard. That's how I approach it. I do a lot of sketches and everything. I experiment a lot. Then I go in 3D and I realize it doesn't work at all. I have to go back. Then you do layout. You realize it's not quite really working. You go back. It's on and off. I spend a lot of time in this pre-production phase because I think it's really critical. Then once you nail that down, I don't want to say the animation is easier because it's not, but the big part is done.
Do you parent your camera to your object? How do you usually proceed?
I try a few different tricks. It depends on the sequence. If I have a sequence where, for example, there is a chasing or like it's happening in the air, like an airplane is following through the camera or something, what I notice is really helpful if you have a locator that everything is parent, camera and character are parented to one big locator, and you just move the locator just to give the sense of speed. Mm-hmm. And from there, then you can start maybe moving the object first, creating some kind of a path, starting with the first layer on the camera, keep it very simple. I think one of the things I'm really good at is try to keep the camera very simple. I see a lot of animators, they want to do a lot of shaking stuff. They do it right away at the beginning, and then it's a mess.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to control. If you change something, even the slightest things, it becomes very, very difficult. So my approach is always to keep things super simple. Mm-hmm. I always feel like if your animation is good, you don't need to do a lot of camera shakes and things like that to make it entertaining and fun. If your animation is well done, it's gonna look dynamic.
Yeah.
You don't need to shake the camera, making a lot of cuts and stuff like that. I enjoy actually more to do longer sequence rather than doing fast-pacing cut, because if it's not done perfectly, I think it's very difficult to look at it.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm also getting tired a bit, honestly, even when I see action movies that their pacing of the cut is so fast, every 2 seconds, half a second, every second you have a cut.
Yeah.
I don't really enjoy that anymore. So that's my way to going in the opposite side.
Yeah, I think they're overusing it. I've heard a lot of people say the same thing, like they're overusing cuts. Right now everybody's like, cut. It gets you tired. And I feel like when you're animating, it also looks like you're cheating something. Mostly when you're a junior and you're just like cropping out of nowhere, it looks like you're not following along with the entire process of the animation, right? So yeah, I wouldn't recommend crazy camera animation for juniors. How about your favorite shot, the most cool shot that you've encountered? For
the people who don't know, Hotbots is a TV series, web series, where basically there are 30-second, 40-second short story. And for me, this was a very interesting project, first of all, because it's really challenging as the animator's perspective on the animator side. And one of my first shot was called Airport Security. And the reason why I'm so attached so much to the shot, the specific sequence, was because in general, we were in charge of everything. So we were in charge of layout, posing, breakdown, until the final animation. But the storyboard, when I received the storyboard from the storyboard department, it was not quite there, in the sense there were only a few panels. It definitely didn't fit the 40 seconds that we had. And when I went to my director and explained to him the issue, he was like, well, Alessandro, you are the animator, figure it out. and so now, when you have basically a big deadline and you have to redo the storyboard as well, because basically that's what it is. The story doesn't work. The storyboard team is busy with something else and you're on your own basically. But it's super challenging, but it's something that I felt like make me grow a lot.
Yeah.
Because basically I have to reinvent a little bit the shot. The storyboard was a bit boring, to be honest, not very interesting. Mm-hmm. So I have to find a way to make it interesting, somehow appealing. Character was repeating always over and over the action, which was basically going through an airport security scan.
Yeah.
And basically anytime she go through, she find that there was an object in her pocket and she take it away. So the action was very repetitive. So it was up to me to find it more funny and entertaining. So I had to play a lot with the attitude. And it was a big challenge. At the beginning I was scared because I also joined the company quite early. Mm-hmm. And I was one of the most senior. And you also felt like, what if I don't nail this? It's going to look very to everyone else. So when you're in a company at the beginning, you can feel this kind of pressure as well. But likely I had an amazing animation director who also helped me a lot, encourage you and everything. And I would say that's helped a lot. And the final result was great, I would say it's not the most funny shot ever, but as a personal growth, I would say I learned a lot. And those are the best for me,
Wow.
When at the end of the day, you learn something, you grow as an artist, you learn something new. And I think I learned a lot of new things. That's for me the best.
And how long have you been with a shot? Like the longest period you've been with a shot in your hands? Because I think a lot of people don't realize how long it takes.
That particular shot was like a month, was 40 seconds of animation, which was okay because it was like 10 seconds a week, including that you have to do, storyboard layout and everything was okay. But the longest one I ever had in production-wise, talking about production of personal shot, was a shot I did in Canada. Was my first feature film shot. It took like almost 2 months for like a 5 second of animation. Embarrassing to say that. It was 5 characters. It was brutal, and it's even a shame for myself even today because I didn't finish it completely. It almost made me quit my job. I was very pissed off and very frustrated. Long story on this, but then, I still have nightmare about the shot, honestly. And it's sometimes it happens. I think it's one of the low of my career, but today I can still talk about it because I know those things happen to everybody. At the beginning I was frustrated. When I encountered this kind of problem, you feel like you're failing, but at the end it's part of it. It's part of the career that everybody goes. You have ups and downs. And you learn from those mistakes as well. So it's fine at the end.
To go in a new studio is just like, the pressure, and you feel like you have to prove your worth. But at the same time, it's a matter of years. Animation is super hard, right? So I think it just takes time to perfect your technique, and then you develop a workflow and it becomes a little bit easier. A hidden talent that you have?
Apparently I do very well video reference when it comes to body mechanics. Even I remember my mentor when I was an animation mentor, and one of my mentors told me, Alessandro, the way you fall or stumble or things like that are very animated. Almost to a point that she told me, you don't have to exaggerate a lot your poses and everything because almost is already there. And at the beginning I thought it was not a big deal because it was like, just have to move myself and everything. But when I started to work more and more time into the animation industry, I realized that there are a lot of people that struggle with this. When they do their own video reference, a lot of people, they get stuck. They kind of frozen in front of the camera. And, they move that are very stiff. Things feel very wrong. And for me, sometimes I get frustrated. Like, how can you move? How can you move like this? And I felt like maybe it's something, a talent that I have, and I never realized it until very, very late.
It does help you a lot if you get past that fear, because once you get past that fear, you can, like Alessandro is saying, you can just kind of roto your reference and then break it down and then go far from it and do other things. But it's always good to have great reference. Thank you very much, Alessandro. I don't take more of your time because it's night, but thank you, my friend, for being here. It was a little bit complicated to see each other. We both have a very busy schedule, so I thank you so much for being here. You're awesome.
Thank you very much. It was very nice to see you, and thank you for hosting me on your channel.
If you like this topic, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, that really helps me. Oh, and don't forget, Rikingo is a site where you can download many different tools and tutorials. If you are an animator, if you want to learn scripting, if you want to even learn how to make your own video game, it doesn't matter if you're highly experienced or you're new to the industry. There is content for all kinds of CG artists. You can see these tools being used over and over again in the pipelines of the most important studios around the world. My subscribers and I get a 20% discount in any purchase. There's even free stuff to play around with. I will leave you guys a link in the description down below. Make sure to check it out. For a more detailed conversation with me and for exclusive content like asking questions, having Zoom meetings with me, getting personal animation tutorials and more, just check out my Patreon. I will leave you a link in the description down below. For each dollar I receive, a percentage will serve to rescue stray dogs and cats. And you will unlock new content every week, so please check it out. Help me, help the channel, and become a VIP Worldspacer. Thank you so much for watching and keep making art. You beautiful artist. Ciao.